I've always gotten the, oh, you're so white. Just Wisconsin. That's when I think that's where I first heard it. Yeah, I vividly remember this. I was in church, in children's church, and this girl, she said, "Oh, you're so pretty. I love your shoes, but you talk funny. You're so white." And I went back and asked my parents, like, what does that mean? Like, I'm clearly not. I guess living in Wisconsin, I lived there from like age 7 to about 13. And I think that was the place where I was definitely made aware of not of my race, but of like how that sets me apart, I guess, in society, or how like people really see me. And one of the like major moments when that like really hit me was actually when you were actually there, and like our whole crew was there. It was over the 4th of July, and we went to my country club to go swimming, and this mom was there with her kids, and all of a sudden, like, yeah, 15 black kids walked up, and it was no big deal. All the people at the club know me. They know my parents. We were the only black family in the neighborhood, so they all knew us. It was fine. And we're, jumping in the pool, and this woman looks terrified. She gathers their kids, and they basically run away. That's a little dramatic, but they left immediately. Back then, I remember, like, I went home and I told my parents what happened, and Justin Peebles, like, he told his mom what happened, and they kind of just, they kind of just sat us down, and they were just like, look, some people are just, bigoted, and they don't understand that you guys are just like they are. And to me, I mean, while I understood what my parents were saying, I just kind of thought the lady was ridiculous or silly, like, for ruining her kids' time at the pool just because a bunch of black kids between the ages of 7 and I don't even know how old you were, maybe 15 or something like that, just wanted to go swim. I didn't really take it to heart. I mean, it kind of hurt my feelings, but I shrugged it off because I was like, whatever, it's her loss. You don't even know me. Especially for myself, and I think definitely for Miles, because we moved away and we were constantly and consistently not in Chicago with everyone else, it was extremely helpful just to know that I always had that base. Like, no matter where I went, I knew that I always had you guys. And because we grew up and we have such similar lifestyles, I knew that you guys always like had my back, and you guys understand, we all understand each other. And so I think it was just something, it was calming to know that, like, no matter whatever bullshit I was going through in Wisconsin, Tennessee, even here in college, there's like a group that understands me. It's not confusing for us. And so now being at school at Michigan, there's this weird sense of community, I guess, within the black population here, because there are so few. We do get together and we are, I guess you could say, quote unquote united, but I still feel very isolated. It's not like in my I guess brain or my heart to automatically think that all white people hate me or they're against me, because that's not the case. But here I feel like whenever I go to BSU meetings or anything like that, there's this sense of like black power, and it's like us against them, and I don't feel that way. And so I feel kind of, I guess, isolated because I don't feel that way, because everyone, all they do is talk about we're marginalized and we're this and we're that. And while that might be true, that's not everyone, and I feel like in the same way that we give the media and people a lot of flack for generalizing our group, our people as a whole, when, one thing happens or one incident. I've seen that a lot here. They look at me, not like I'm the enemy, but there's a sense of, it's almost as if I were mixed, because they kind of treat me like, oh, she's one of us, but not really. People assume that I'm a certain way because of the way that I look or the clothes that I'm wearing or the way that I speak. They automatically assume that one of my parents has to be white. You know, for them to just automatically assume that someone that had to come from a white person, which is just, it's insane. Like, we're stereotyping within our own community. I found maybe like one or two people who kind of understand it and get where I'm coming from, but it's still different. It's a separation. I don't even think they realize what they're doing, because at all these BSU meetings and rallies, they talk about how we need to stick together. And I don't think people realize, like, no, you're making big distinctions, you know, about what it means to be Black, and you're excluding a lot of people who are Black, actually. Not only are you separating yourselves from the white community, you're also segregating a lot of people within your own community and making people like me feel isolated or not Black enough.
After we lived in Chicago, we moved to Singapore. Being the only Black person in Singapore was very different than being the only Black person in the U.S. In Singapore, you're a Black person with a person from China, a person from Thailand, a person from Switzerland, a person from Australia. You have people representing all their different ideas and nationalities and backgrounds. So it's more of like a fluid discussion, and you don't feel like you're trying to challenge someone in the U.S. So you have the issue of when you're a Black person in a room full of white people, it's really the us versus them mentality. After Highland Park, I moved to Bentonville, Arkansas. You know, the further you go to Arkansas, you can just like see kind of the ignorance. I don't think I ever had a time in Arkansas where I like felt unsafe or I felt like somebody was being malicious regarding race, but there was multiple times of ignorance. A lot of times in Arkansas, I kind of use those ignorant times to try to educate people. As someone who's in the minority, you kind of learn because that's kind of what you have to do to understand the culture that you're in. So when you're coming from a place of status, you really have no need to learn about the people around you. At IU, there's 10 people that have the scholarship. I'm also in the like pre-honors freshman business program. So I'm in all these tiny groups, which has made it easy to meet people. But because of that, I think it's another thing that's kind of not hindered me from meeting Black people, but like kind of another thing to check for them to be like, oh, like here's an uppity Negro. At the end of the day, no matter what your income level is, no matter how you were raised, you're Black, and you have the same issues because of your skin color, because people look at you and based on your complexion, they automatically judge you. I kind of find it a little interesting that even though all Black people are going through the same thing, no matter how much money they have, because you know money doesn't wash away your Blackness, it's still hard for. There's still a divide within the Black community that isn't even breakable by a connection of all sharing the same issues. In a way, kind of weakens our cause and weakens us as a group, is that if we can't unite as one within ourselves, then how are we going to get over this hurdle?